There was this one time when I wanted to get an Xbox 360 and I was asking for it, but mum was like, no, I can't have that. I was like, why can't I have it? The main reason was because we couldn't afford it right at the time. Effectively, that was like one of the reasons why I was like, you know what, that's one of the things why like I'm pushing so hard with what we got now, because I'm like, we need to sort of break that circle, right, and be the ones in our family that bring the wealth literally for generations to come as well.
You know, break the generational curses. This is what it's about, you know. Because I feel like there's a lot of families out there that continue this stigma, you know, and they think, oh wow, because my family kind of went through that, I'm gonna go for it because I don't have all the luxuries and all the life is what you make it at the end of the day.
Hello and welcome back to this episode of the Need to Succeed podcast. And like I always say, on this podcast, we really get some phenomenal entrepreneurs on here to have a discussion about their success and their mindset. Because here's the thing, oftentimes two people go through the exact same situation. And one person decides because of that situation, they're going to go ahead to become wildly successful, while someone else decides because of that situation, they can no longer achieve the things that they had planned for themselves. Exact same situation, but what is the difference between these two people and these two mindsets? That's exactly what we look to uncover on the Need to Succeed podcast. And today, I have got two phenomenal guests with me. This is a brother and sister duo. Now, check this out. They went from 0 to 20 properties in just a couple of months. And I've gone on in just the first year to generate over £500,000. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Serena and Troy Badaloo.
Hello, thank you, man. Thank you. First introduction like that. I'm so excited to be on the podcast as well, man. Thank you.
Brilliant stuff. You guys are very, very welcome. I'm honored, to have you guys on here. Thank you so much, because I've just been watching and enjoying your journey from afar. And, this podcast is really to tell stories like yours, so people truly understand how it's possible for them as well.
Mm-hmm.
But really to understand, how do you make that happen? Because it's a phenomenal results, but there's always a bridge between where you were to where you are today.
Definitely.
And it's really that message in between that we try to capture on this. So honestly, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, man.
So much for having us. Thank you. It's such an amazing opportunity, and can't wait to share so much little golden nuggets with you guys.
Absolutely amazing. Okay, cool. So we have. This is funny, actually. I haven't told you guys about this, right?
Okay.
But we have got a tradition on the podcast, and the very first question is: we'll start with yourself, Troy.
Okay.
What does success mean to you?
Oh, yeah. That's a big question, What does success mean to me? I think success means to me is really doing your best and really achieving your potential. So, like for example, you can have a goal and work towards that goal, but actually making sure that you're consistent to working towards that goal, and also doing what you can for your family in terms of the money that you're making, and also just being a great person as well. I think that's the biggest thing for success. Being a great person and doing what you love to do and hitting your potential as well. Consistently striving for that potential. That's what I'd say is a definition of success for myself. Yeah.
Amazing. That's brilliant, because it's sometimes people focus on the outputs, right? They focus on this end goal, this end result. But actually, I think one of the best definitions I've heard, I forgot, I heard it from Elle Nightingale, but it said success is the realization of a worthy ideal. Right? Which is so brilliant, but it's in the realization, right? It's in that going through that process, like you said, just working towards something and ultimately getting to that result. But it's in that process of working towards it, that's beautiful, man. Brilliant stuff. And how about yourself, Serena? Same question. What does success mean to you?
So I feel success to me means being, healthy, wealthy, in abundance, and being able to create the life that you've always wanted to live. I feel success is being able to actually reach the depths that you never thought were possible, but you knew that you had it in you to do it. And success has such a wide kind of thing around it. But to me, that's what it means: health, wealth, and abundance, and also being humble in that along the whole way. And it's a journey. Success is a journey. It's not something that happens overnight, and that is probably what I'd have to say.
Absolutely. That is so brilliant. But there was something that you said that really kind of captured my attention. And you said something that you never actually thought was possible. Right?
Yeah.
And like it's an incredible thing, because there is I read somewhere that there's a part to successful people which is really, really strange, because successful people actually have this almost egotistical element that I can achieve anything, but at the same time they also have an imposter syndrome.
Yes, that's very 100%.
True, which is almost weird, right?
Yeah.
So can you just explain a bit more when you said things that you never thought was possible? What did you mean by that?
I feel from my background growing up as a kid, I've been very blessed to have everything I've ever wanted, and I've been very grateful. We was raised by a single mum, and she did such an amazing job with that. And like in my head, doing what I'm doing now is like unbelievable. Every day I see it as like just another chance to be able to succeed that bit more. And that's where that kind of element of just not knowing it's possible, because it is possible, but it feels unreal almost, and that's what that means to me, really. And the meaning behind it.
Amazing. It's like a juxtaposition. Funny enough, I was listening to the UFC, 185 champion of the world, Mr. Israel Adesanya. I was listening to him today, and he was talking about dualities, right? One thing can be possible as well as the other.
Definitely.
Like what you've just said, that I can believe I can't achieve this, but also go ahead and actually achieve everything I actually, want to achieve. So it's crazy. But, let's talk a bit more about, both of you guys, your brother and sister. So you just mentioned that you were raised by a single mom. So what I'd really like to do is let's just go back to when you guys were younger. What was life like? It said what was life like?
Yeah. So you know what, I think me and Serena, we've always been like a dream team. So what was life like? Literally, let's go to it. So raised by a single mum, right? And she always brought us to church as well on a Sunday, right? And in church, right, me and Serena, we was always creative, always had that bubbly energy in us as well. And
definitely,
one of the things that we did as well is so I like to make beats and also write songs. Serena, she was also writing songs as well. And what we did, right, we used to perform in front of our church songs, right? So like what we probably done that like over 10 times. But listen, it was so big as well, being able to do that, because that was probably the first stage we ever been on. But we never really thought of it like that. We just thought, we're making something amazing, and people there enjoying it as well.
Yeah.
And like this is
entertaining.
Literally.
And it was actually like displaying our creativity and what we were capable of. And when we really brought it together and we was together on the stage, we just really always lifted one another, and you could see it. You could just see it through the videos. You could see it.
Exactly. And listen, so through that as well, seeing our mum like work so hard as well, I think that definitely ingrained it into us as well, in terms of how we work now. Like literally, we don't complain about when we have to put in the long hours, because we never saw our mum complain, right? Never. She was putting in like 10, 12-hour days, right? Working 9 to 5, then after that also doing people's hair, so like, at home as well. And then she always still had the time to like get the food on the table as well, right? And just that, like 100%, she's been like amazing. And like that's definitely one part of what it was like for us, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I think like going on from that, she was always supportive as well. And yeah, that environment, being in the church environment, I think that was definitely a big part of us as well, why we got the values that we got, and why we know sort of what's right from what's wrong, why we got like a good heart as well, and why we just want to make sure that we're uplifting everyone as well, So
I think another kind of memory as well is like, from mum being like the single parent and like kind of raising us, that meant that me and Troy had a lot of time in the house on our own, because she'd be busy at work sometimes, so it meant that it wasn't, sometimes she wasn't there, but that didn't matter, because that's kind of what grew our independence and being able to just just deal with a situation and not really think, I'm in this situation. We never really had that output on life. And, because like in school when you come back from a holiday and they'd say, oh, what did you do in the school holidays? Or, you know, everyone say, I've gone to holiday, I've gone on holiday here, I've gone on holiday there. And I'd say, oh, you know, I was out playing on my scooter, you know, like, but I loved it. And it was just, it just made me happy. And I never really envied anyone else what they had. And, you know, that's because mum always taught us to be grateful for what we have. And, you know, that's what kind of relays back to the, you know, it is possible, but it almost feels impossible when you're actually in the moment and you're living in it and you're creating these successes. Yeah. Wow,
that's incredible. I mean, that's really quite unique as well, because generally what happens is kids, you know, start to feel a bit embarrassed. You're like, well, why do all these other kids kind of have these things and we can have them? Do you ever remember like feeling, you know, those kind of feelings at all, or not really?
Definitely.
I did feel it, but, you know, not a lot.
So for me, the only reason why I felt it a little bit was more when I wanted to get an Xbox.
Was it the girls?
What's that?
Was it the girls?
The girls? No. That it was. So I think like I don't know. With go into an interesting subject there. I mean, no, it was more on like because I knew that we was just getting by, right? And with like when I went to people's houses, like my friends' houses, and I saw what they had as well, I was like, oh, you know what? I think I'd like this as well, because I one thing that I like to do was I did like to play games, because obviously we was in the house on our own a lot of the time, and I did like to play games, right? So PlayStation 2, I remember playing on that. And then there was this one time when I wanted to get an Xbox 360 and I was asking for it, but mum was like, no, I can't have that. And I was like, well, why can't I have it? And like the main reason was because like we couldn't afford it right at the time. And so yeah, effectively that was like one of the reasons why I was like, you know what, that's one of the things as well, right, why like I'm pushing so hard with what we got now, because I'm like, we need to like sort of break that circle, right, and be the ones in our family that bring the wealth, and like literally for generations to come as well. You know,
break the generational curses. This is what it's about, you know. You know, because I feel like there's a lot of families out there that continue this stigma, you know, and they think, oh wow, because my family kind of went through that, I'm gonna go for it because I don't have all the luxuries and all the. But it's what life is, what you make it at the end of the day, and like we knew that. Me and Troy, we always knew that we had something special inside of us. We always knew we had a talent, and it was just being able to actually find out what that talent was the older we got. And I think that that kind of really does tie into why we are where we are today, you know. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, two things actually is for one of you each. So I'll go with Serena first.
Okay.
You know, really, really powerful what you just said there. You know, super powerful. Said we always knew that we had greatness in us, right?
Yes.
Because the truth is, oftentimes when people are going through these situations, you don't think about the greatness. You just think about all the things that you lack.
That's it.
Like, what made you guys like? Why you? You know, you had all your friends had all this stuff that you didn't have. Like, what made you think that you had this greatness within you?
I feel like for me personally, you know, being religious kind of actually goes a lot into that, because it's about being, like, for me, grateful for like just being able to actually see another day, being able to actually wake up in the morning, because from that first bit of breath in the day, that's when you've got the chance to make a change, you know. And like there's only 24 hours in a day, but a lot can be done in 24 hours in a day, you know. And that kind of saying for me personally is the reason why, you know, I kind of am the way I am. And I never really felt like, I've just never really been an envious person. And, you know, mum always kind of taught me to never be jealous of what someone else has. And and I think that's always been ingrained in me. So when, you know, my friends would be saying, oh, you know, look at what I've got. And it just never really, I'm a very kind of strong-minded person. So I'm very resilient. Nothing kind of gets to me. And I think that's generally come from watching what mum's done to bring us up, and how she's been so resilient, how she's never let anything get to her, especially through everything she's gone through whilst raising me and Troy. That's definitely what kind of shows in me. Yeah.
But what made you feel like you were going to be great?
What made me feel I was going to be great? I feel like I just knew that I needed more in life, and that I had a passion for being like a positive kind of force around people. And I knew that greatness could take me somewhere, because it meant that I could help others. I could be that person that could, you know, lift up a situation. If you're in a really bad situation, you know, you've got people around you that, like myself, that could be the greatness to bring more greatness, you know?
Wow.
So I was that positive energy, and I've always had those compliments from anyone. When whatever room I was in, people would say, you lift up a room.
Wow.
You lift up a room, and it's just like, wow, the greatness in that. And I kind of started being able to see, the more I got older, like I know my talent, and I know what I was made, you know, put on this earth to do.
That's so incredible, because it's so important to have the right people around you actually reinforcing things like that, right?
Definitely.
And it is super, super powerful, because you're actually seeing the effect you're having, and people also telling you like, wow, like this energy is great. So you start thinking, well, you know what? There's something special within me.
Yes.
And I can make this happen. And in all that takes, if you carry that within you, all that takes is one spark, and you say, okay, this is my time. Let me show the world how great I am, right?
Definitely.
So that's incredible.
Oh, thank you.
And Troy, so you mentioned there was that moment I wanted the Xbox 360, and Mom's like, no, and you're like, why not? Like, what did that moment mean to you?
I think that moment, that moment, it was really more of like, you know, surely something like that, it's not that hard to get, right? Like, surely there's a way to make something simple to get something like this. There's some steps to follow, right? And
how old were you at this stage?
So, that's a good question, you know, coming to ages. I think I was probably around, I don't know, 12 or 13 or something like that, I believe. Yeah, wouldn't quote me though. Not the best of ages, but yeah, around there. But yeah, I'd say around that, I was like, there's got to be a way, right? It's not as simple as being like, no, there's got to be a way. So around that, I think that's what's really helped me to think technically about things, because I'm like naturally an analytical person, right? And the thing about that is that when there's a problem, it's all about, okay, how do you actually solve the problem, right? I'm a problem solver, so make it simple. You don't have to complicate it, because normally problems get caused from complications. All you got to do is make it simple, and then be like, okay, this is how you need to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, the exact steps. And I think, like, going back to how it made me feel, I think it put something in me where I was like, you know what? I got to go out there and get to the point where I'm like, nah, it don't matter anymore in terms of like items, you know, get to the point of abundance, right? Because I believe that's the way that life should be lived, you know, being in abundance, freedom. That's what it should be, not in like a sort of poverty mindset thinking where like it's not possible, right? You gotta be thinking it is possible. How is it possible? What do I need to do to make it possible? What's the actions I need to go and do? So like, I think that's like, long story short, that's a little bit of what was sparked in me in terms of, okay, just make it simple.
That's,
you know,
that's a lot to be sparked in someone at that age, because to have that clarity, like, I do not want this for my life, and I know there's got to be a way, you know, for things to be better. Like, you know, having that mindset at that age, that completely changes everything. So yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. So like, you guys, you know, you're growing up now, you've kind of, you know, you've got that mindset, you've got this greatness within you. Well, you both got the greatness within you, right? You know, so just tell me a bit more about, you know, how do you guys get to property?
Property. Okay, so yeah, I think we got definitely 2 different stories on this. But like yeah, they are definitely linked, because they come together for sure. Definitely. But like so for myself, it was at the start of like 2019. So at the start of 2019, I was in my full-time job doing accounting, an apprenticeship in accounting, and I was like, you know what, in this job, it's not exactly what I want to be doing. I was just looking around the office and being like, well, like the people that are high up, they don't look that happy, to be honest, because I was thinking I wanted to be like a CFO, right? Effectively, I'm a CFO now because I'm handling the finances, but effectively, right, going back, right, I was like, you know what, it's not really fully exactly what I want to be doing right now. Okay, I want to take control of my time, control of my money, and just be able to actually hit the income goals. Because again, it's sort of going back to like that moment of the Xbox. I'm like, I want to be able to be living in like a beautiful big mansion, right? And I know I ain't gonna be getting there doing what I'm doing like in this role. So I was like, okay, I gotta figure out a way to actually do this. So
Can I just take you back if you don't mind? Yeah. So you're 4 years in. You had this. Clearly, this vision stayed with you from when you were young. You're like, I want to have this mansion, and I want to live this luxurious lifestyle, right? Which is great. Why did you choose to go into accounting in the first place?
Because, right, in school, they're like, accountants, they make a lot of good money. So then that was sort of drilled in me. So I'm like, okay, well, I want to be an accountant, and also because I was amazing at maths, still I'm amazing at maths. I was like, this just makes sense. I've got to go in and be an accountant because I'm going to smash it. But then go into there right now, and then you learn about accounting. 100%, like the skills, they are amazing. I'm not trying to like knock accounting, but like it's not, the main thing is definitely problem solving. But like with accounting, the really big thing about it to be applied to getting that is really implementing it into actual business rather than like essentially just, obviously it is implemented into business, but instead of just doing like, for example, the bookkeeping, like one thing at a time, it's about, okay, well, how do we actually put this into the business? How do we make sure that the balance sheet is set up? How do we make sure that we plan to make sure this company is worth like X million? How do we make sure that we can get the profits to this amount? How do we make sure we can get millions? And like, how do you plan all of that out and then make sure that you stick to that and effectively predict what's going to happen with the business, right? And like, I find that I didn't get exactly what I wanted from that position that I was in, but now that I'm in it, like 100%, it hasn't been simple. There's been a lot of like lessons from it, but I've got so much more clarity on now in terms of, okay, this is how it's meant to be implemented, sort of thing.
But it's different though, isn't it? Because if you're learning accounting and you're just gonna become an accountant, it's different from using accounting skills in your business, right? There's a different dynamic to that, which is a lot more exciting. But if you're just doing numbers and crunching it, there's no connection to those numbers. It's just someone else's business, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, that's a good point that you say there, because I used to see like millions in the bank account, right? And I'm thinking, it's a lot of money, imagine having the business to be having that. But obviously at the time it's just like, that's what I'm doing. I'm just doing it in that sector, just making sure that I can produce the daily reports. But it's like seeing that it just sparks something, right? And that's probably the spark as well, where I'm like, you know what, there's something else out there.
There's money out there.
Exactly. And so like there was someone in my job, right? His name's Coyote. He's also a property developer, so shout out to him.
Coyote.
He's
Coyote.
Coyote. Yeah. That's it. And I saw him and I was speaking with him, and he was like, listen, you got to learn about passive income. Okay. You got to learn about passive income. I was like, passive income? What's passive income? He's like, listen, just search it up on Google. I was like, okay, it's making me do some work, but that's cool. We're going to go on Google, search it up, and then, come to property now and started looking into it a little bit more. And then that's when, Samuel Leeds started popping up on YouTube, right?
Who's Samuel Leeds?
So Samuel Leeds, he's this property trainer. He's doing amazing things. Literally trained hundreds of students and helped them like become financially free. He's a property trainer, property investor, property developer,
property mentor,
and absolutely smashing it. So that's Samuel Leeds, right? And then I saw one of his winners on a Wednesday with someone. So it was Jessica and Jordan. They do like rent to rents, right? So rent to rents is essentially, you find a property and then you give the landlord guaranteed rent, and then you effectively control the property and then turn it into like, say, a shared house or a service accommodation. So shared house can be paying like £500 per month per room, and then you can pay the landlord like £1,000 and then like a profit of like, say, 600, 700 or something, right? So they done that, built up to like 5k, left their job, and I was like, you know what? This is what
5k?
5k profit like per month, right? And I was like, you know what, this is what we need to do. With my
So this was a story of someone else, and you've seen this video, and you thought, hang on,
yeah,
what's going on here?
yeah, exactly. I was like, because I was inspired by it, and at the time, I was with my ex-partner, right? So it was like sort of the relation was there because they was a couple, we was a couple, and you know we wanted to do big things, right? So from that, went to somebody's crash course, jumped in the academy, August 2019. Started the company TK Lifestyle Properties, and then started like doing the course with the agents, also send the letters out, and yeah, got the first deal around, what's it, February. It was actually like a company purchase deal that we was able to sort of negotiate. But before that, there were so many no's, so many rejections. Like it wasn't easy to get this deal right. But yeah, we got that, and it was an interesting way that we funded it.
But when you said it wasn't easy, there was some like how many no's? Give us an example.
I'd say I probably come across like over 150 no's, to be honest. Yeah, 150 no's. Yeah.
Why don't you just? You're not thinking at this point, this is not for me,
bro. I was thinking that, mate. I was thinking that because I was around people, right, that was getting it on their first time as well.
Yeah.
So it was definitely hard, you know. I was thinking like, is it just not meant to be? Like, is there something like is there something blocking me from getting? Am I not supposed to do it? It was hard, to be honest, but like at that point, what I just dug into, I was like, listen, just keep on doing it, right? Stay into the process. Like, just the numbers, it's a numbers game. You just got to keep on going through it. And also just sticking to that why as well, because I was like, listen, I want to become financially free so I can really, you know, encourage other people to do it as well, and also help my family as well, get them into property and also elevate their incomes as well, and just provide for my loved ones as well. So yeah, that's sort of what really helped to get back to it, but it wasn't easy, man. Yeah. You know, getting all of these no's and stuff.
Yeah, no, but they always say like if your goal, you know, is just monetary. Look, we all need money, right? But like money, from my experience and from speaking to a lot of other people as well, it's not a strong enough or big enough driver in itself. There's got to be other entities. There's got to be this bigger goal than that. And you know, when you're thinking about family, you know, you're thinking about your mom, all the hard work she's done. You're thinking about other family members. So it's like, okay, well, I have to make this happen now, right? Exactly. So that's a different level of pull, isn't it?
100%. 100%. And so that was like the first one that we got, and then that's how I got into property effectively. And then
you were going to talk about how you financed it.
Okay, how I financed it. Okay. so there was effectively so they were 30k for it, right? It was a company purchase. There was two different rents there. One was a 6-bed in Bristol, one was a 6-bed in Gloucester. And effectively the first way that we tried doing it was getting investor finance, but unfortunately that fell through.
So you said 30k?
Yes, that's right.
For one property. Was that to buy the property?
No, so that was to buy the company. Yeah, to buy the company. So it wasn't actually buying the property. It was like the rents. But the thing is that that money, they put that money into converting like the rents into so converting like a 4-bed house into a 6-bed house, essentially making it HMO compliant.
Yes.
To be honest with you, one of them, it is actually a lease option agreement as well. The one in Bristol, which is, so technically it was buying a house as well, but effectively, it was buying the company, like track record proven, it's making profit every single month. So it's like, you know, why would I not do it, right? It's like, if it's cash flowing, then but it was interesting for it to be a first one as well.
So your first deal, fresh off training, got the mentorship, and you're like, I'm gonna buy a business,
bro. That wasn't the plan. It wasn't the plan, but it happened, bro. But effectively.
Okay, brilliant. I mean, that's a lot of lesson in just. I would imagine that would have been a lot of lessons learnt,
bro. Yes, a lot, man, a lot. I think like probably the biggest one is just making sure that the due diligence is done, because that process, it was very, very like fine. You have to make sure that it's making profit, right? Because you don't want to effectively sink a load of money into it and then it's not making the profit. And that's why we had to, because obviously it was trading for I think 2 years before anyway. And then you have to understand like, why are they coming out of it as well, right? Like, what was the problem there? So the due diligence process, that's like a big bit. But those properties, they're probably the best on the portfolio right now, to be honest.
Wow,
like best tenants, still the best cash flow as well with the HMOs. So it really was a unicorn deal, you know.
Incredible. Well, there you go. Well, listen, it took 150 no's, but this is the thing. Until this day, you know, it's still one of the best ones that you've got. Wow. So you just never, you know, I think the saying goes, you know, you never fail. You only fail when you stop.
Yes.
Exactly,
because
bro.
Exactly.
Yes. You can't quit if you don't fail. You can't quit if you don't stop. No, you can't fail if you don't quit.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's it. That's
I'm still going to come back because you didn't answer the question of how you funded it. But I want to come to Serena now. How did you obviously, you know, your brother's out there, he's starting to do some bits. Yes. How did you get into property?
So this is where, you know, kind of I was always the person that's kind of jumping from job to job. I was at the moment, you know, I kind of already was building up leadership skills by this point. I was working full time as a duty manager during the whole of COVID because a lot of them was all parents. So that meant their kids was off school. So they left me to run the shop, which was a lot of responsibility, you know, cashing the tills, making sure that the rotas were all sorted, managing all these people, making sure they was doing what they should be doing. So forth. And I saw what Troy was doing. Troy and his ex at the time, ex-partner at the time, and you know, they was making so many moves in property, and it was just amazing to see, you know, like, so it was really like encouraging. And I thought, you know, I just knew in my head, I was always the sort of person that didn't want to work for somebody else. I always wanted to work for myself. And, you know, I thought fashion design was like the thing for me, but that required me going to university. And I was like, I'm not a big fan of that. Like, I don't want to go to university and spend like 27,000 on like for 3 years. So yeah, I was like, okay. So I kind of was a little bit just, in jobs and doing my thing. And so I, you know, kind of reached out to Troy and just said to him, you know, like,
you got room.
Yeah, like how are you doing what you're doing? You know, like, it's amazing what you're doing. Like, I just am really inspired. Like, and I basically said to him, I'm going to do rent to rents. And he's like, no, before you start, you know, kind of jumping into it, you should go and like go to Samuel Leeds crash course and like kind of get an idea of what would work best for you. And at the time, my ex-partner at the time, he also was looking to buy property. I was looking to get into property. So I just knew, okay, it's a no-brainer really. I need to start. If I want to get into property, I need to educate myself. So, I booked a crash course in Samuel Leeds in December 2019. And, you know, that was a 3-day intense crash course going over so many different, you know, property strategies. And, so I was, you know, kind of overwhelmed with loads of information. And the one that stuck out to me was the rent to SA model. So, you know, which is being able to rent a property, you know, do it up to a really nice quality standard kind of home that can be then rented out on a nightly basis. So, you know, and then also making sure that landlord's okay with that being the case. So I kind of came away from that crash course and I was so ambitious. I was like, I need this. I've come away now. I need to do it, because if I don't do it, then I'm going to be failing myself. So, you know, I started making loads of calls whilst doing the duty manager work. I was booking in viewings. Like, every single time I'd close at the shop, I'd have a viewing to go to, viewing all these properties, talking to these landlords and, you know, getting them to see the vision. And, you know, I managed to secure my first flat, I believe, in February 2020. And I started the crash course in December 2019. So it was like a very short space of time that I secured the first deal. And that was, you know, cash flowing at least 500 profit. For my first ever property deal, I was kind of a bit skeptical about it. And then when I actually had it and it was, you know, cash flowing £500 profit on top of, you know, what I was already doing at work, it was like, just something inside of me, I just felt so like alive, you know, and I felt like this was my calling, like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And because I'm a very creative person anyway, I love art and, you know, creating beautiful spaces, you know, it was perfect really. So, you know, I was running that on my own, doing the duty manager stuff. And then, you know, I had a little bit of the imposter syndrome and I thought, oh, it's not working because that's, you know, things were going wrong. I dropped it. But then I came back again because this is when the bounce back loans were coming in and they were supporting businesses out there. So I through this time as well, I forgot to mention, I shout out to Jazwan actually, because he was a business mentor to me, Gangotcha Consultants. He essentially flipped my whole property journey on its head, because it was called SLMB Property Investments, a very long name, and we changed it to Good Heart Lettings because it represented me as a person and what I wanted to give, you know, to people, the business I was providing. And so from that moment, that's when I then secured, so I let go of that property, my first ever property, in around July time, because I just kind of got a little bit unconfident. But then during that time when I didn't have any property, I just felt so bored. I was like, something's not right. Like I shouldn't have left the game. So I came back a lot stronger, and secured a 4-bedroom house. And this was, you know, like a massive project for me in comparison to what I had to begin with, because it was a 1-bedroom flat I started off with. And so I built up the 4-bedroom house. Then I secured another unit, which was a 2-bedroom flat, I think a month later, like a month or two later down the line. And they were I think they were profiting at least 1,000 a month between the two of them. And that's how my property journey kind of began, really, was through Troy kind of encouraging me and seeing what he was doing. And I've always admired what Troy does, and being my older brother, I was like, nah, I need to get into this because it's something I want to do. I really want to test my limits, and that was the main kind of purpose I did it. I went past the fear stage. I just pushed straight through it, because I knew, like, you know, you can't get anything done unless you push through that stage of fear. So, and I did feel very fearful about getting into property, but I knew if I don't do it, I'm never going to know what it's like. So, that's how I got into the property
powerful.
game.
Like, a couple of things in there. You know, first of all, how much were you making in your previous job before you got your first property?
So being a duty manager, I was actually getting underpaid for quite a long time. So I think I must have been getting paid at least £300 a week, so £1,200 a month I was getting paid.
£1,200 a month. So your first property, 500. That's almost half of your income. That you're working how many hours? Like 40 hours a week. Right?
It was over 40 hours a week, definitely.
Okay. So I can definitely see why you got excited when you got your first deal. But then, like, hang on.
I was like, what's going on? This is
say?
passive, because I wasn't having to really do much. I mean, at the beginning, I was obviously doing the cleans, but
you systemized it.
That's right. Exactly.
Brilliant stuff. Brilliant. But there's also something else, and I really don't want everyone to miss this, right? And I know this coming from, you know, I do a lot of mentoring as well. And, you know, you said, I went to the crash course in December and I got my first unit in February. So it was a short period of time.
Yes.
Well, actually, that is a success mindset, because a lot of people in 2 months of not seeing a result from the hard work would actually find that an eternity. All right. So why did you feel like it was a short period of time?
I think I actually wasn't expecting to get a deal as quickly as I did. I was kind of on the mission thinking it's probably going to take me about 3 or 4 months. But if I keep going at it and giving it my all as and when I get the time to, when I'm not working on my other job, it was kind of like I was just going in it with a very, very open mindset and believing that I know what my mission is. I know what the reason why I need to require a property and to get into this, you know, kind of industry. And, you know, it really did help, you know, with the actual crash course, because some of the things that Samuel Leeds was saying, it was so powerful and so motivating that kind of drove me throughout like a very, very long period. And just obviously watching success like mindset videos every single morning on YouTube, every single morning looking at the quote of the day, and just really finding things that was going to keep my spirits lifted so that I never felt like, oh, you know, because there was moments where I was like, why is no one saying yes? But, you know, I thought it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a little bit difficult. But
how do you think it served you? The fact that you were thinking 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
How do you think that actually served you in maintaining your positive mindset?
Wow. I kind of felt like I think it served me in a really great way, because it made me unlock my potential in a way. You know, it actually showed me, wow, I'm very skillful at securing deals quickly because of how my output would be towards it, and the kind of mindset I had to keep myself in to get through it, you know. And that's where my true potential was unlocked from getting that first deal.
Yeah.
And that's what I'd say.
So like, obviously you work very hard, you secure that first deal, money starts coming, like this is good, like let's go secure another one.
Yeah.
Doesn't really happen. COVID hits, market downturn. You hand the keys back to the landlord. How are you feeling at this point?
You know, I almost felt like I gave up, and that's what was kind of, you know, beating me up a little bit. And that's what I was like, I cannot stay like in this mindset. And the main reason I gave those keys back is because loads of problems were happening, and I had, you know, the other kind of leadership and responsibilities in the shop. So I was thinking maybe this isn't what I need. So I told the landlord, I made a proposal, and, you know, said to get some of these issues sorted, because there was a massive leak coming through the ceiling when one of the guests was staying at the time. So I was like, I don't need this stress, like I need to take it away. So I gave the keys back, and then, like, you know, everything was fine for like 2 or 3 weeks. And yeah, that fourth week when it hit into a month, I was like, what have I done? Like I was thinking, what have I done? And that's when that's when actually Troy told me like about the bounce back loans that was going around, and to get in on it, because if I don't, you know, there's a big opportunity I could miss. I thought, you know what, yeah, Troy's right, I need to get back into this. I already knew that I wanted to get back into it, but I was thinking, how am I going to do this? Because it's going to take me a bit of time to save up the money again, to retain the next property, and then to obviously have enough to do it the way I want to do it. So when I got that bounce back loan, I really just went full speed ahead. And I was like, because I felt like I was on a timer, I was pushing even harder than I pushed the first time, because the first time I wasn't even trying as hard as I could have been. And I managed to achieve that in less than 2 months time.
Wow.
But this time along, because I started kind of calling agents around end of July, secured the 4-bedroom property in the end of August. And then from there, it was an opportunity, because it turned out that his brother was also a landlord. So he said, because he was so inspired by my story and how I was being so passionate about wanting to care for people's properties and actually add value to them, add value to their time, so they got their time back, and someone that they can trust. That's what then made his brother say, nah, she could take on my property as well. So That's how then I secured that second one. And they were performing really, really well. Incredible.
And that's just the thing, right? It's like, it's difficult to explain that when you're putting in the inputs, don't focus on the outputs, focus on the inputs, because if you put in the correct inputs, ultimately the outputs will come, right? The outputs are the results. But through following the process, speaking to agents, following up with them, secure the first one, and then the second one just lands on your lap, as they say, right? But it didn't land on your lap. It was as a result of all of the work that you'd done before then.
Definitely.
That's what made that one easier, right?
That's right.
Which is brilliant. It's such a great lesson in that for people to just understand. Just because you're not seeing the result of everything you're doing now, it's like if you're building a house and you're layering bricks on top of bricks. If you just decide, this house it doesn't look like a house, and you stop, you're never going to build a house, right?
Exactly.
But if you just I'll just keep laying those bricks, laying that and at some point, the house is actually going to form. So amazing. Great work.
Thank you.
So Troy, we're going to sort of come back to you now, because, your first property deal, crazy. You're buying a business, which is a new one.
It's a new one, yeah.
So how did you actually finance this deal?
Yeah, so in the end, what we ended up doing, it was very creative. Effectively, we used half of the purchase price from the money that was already in the business bank account. And then we agreed to make the profits, pay the rest of it over, I think it was like a 16-month period or something like that.
Hang on. So the money that they already had in the bank, you used that as part of the payout for the business.
Yeah.
And then you were also paying them a monthly fee over the next 16-month period.
Yeah, exactly.
How did you manage to negotiate? This sounds like witchcraft.
Bro, you gotta get creative, But literally, that was actually the third way that we tried to go with. Because the first one, it was an investor. The second one, tried to get a loan, and then that was the third way, because they wanted to get the deal done. Effectively, it was a win-win situation. They just wanted the company off their hands, and then like the money as well. So it's like, well, we'll take control of it now. Right, there's money in the bank account, so let's use the money in the bank account. Then obviously it's going to make profit, because we're going to make sure it makes profit. We're going to put the work into it, get it filled with the tenants, we just won't take anything from it until the 60-month period is up. And then, just make sure the profits get paid to them on a monthly basis. And I
Incredible.
think because we solved their problem, it's like that's how it's sort of coming together, you know.
Brilliant.
And
But you didn't just solve the problem, because the reality is you also backed yourself and you showed them that you were investable. Because essentially what they actually did is they invested in you.
That is true.
They believed in your vision. They believed in your plan. They believed that you were going to be able to execute. And you gave them that confidence by saying, look, we're not going to take any money out of this. You know, we're going to show you by just giving you all of the profits, because we believe we can actually make this work.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, that is true. That is true. It's a good way of putting it.
Absolutely. Because ultimately, why should I believe in you if you don't believe in yourself?
Yeah.
Exactly. That's
That's
so
it,
true.
yeah.
That
Wow,
is so
incredible,
true.
incredible. Great stuff. There's an incredible lesson to learn in that. I'm really, really enjoying this, right? Okay, cool. So let's, so now you've secured the first properties. How did you guys, because at the moment it sounds like there is luxury stays and then there is good heart properties, right? Good heart lettings.
Good heart lettings
Good
and
heart
TK lifestyle
Yeah,
properties.
TK lifestyle.
TK lifestyle properties.
Luxury stays wasn't in the picture yet.
Yeah, this is it.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
wasn't even born at this point.
Yeah.
Talk to
Not
me.
yet.
Talk to me.
So we kept on getting the property deals there. So kept on moving it up, and then the next property deals that I got was in June. It was 2 5-bedroom houses. So this was from letters getting sent out. So they cashed for like £1,000 in total. And then the next one, it was a 6-bedroom house in November. This was from following up a landlord for over a year, right? And then the other one was in August, and that was 2 properties from one landlord, again following up the landlord for over a year, right? But then what happened at that point, we was like, okay, we need to scale this up. All right, we need to find a way of scaling this up. So it was trying to figure out ways, and we come across someone that scaled their portfolio from 0 to 200 within I think it was like 60 months or something like that. So it was like, well, there's obviously something that he's done that's amazing. That's got him those units. So let's learn from him and understand what he did. His method was going to developers, right? Instead of landlords that have single properties, and then pitching a developer on getting like multiple units in one go. So we started doing this, approaching those kind of developers, and our offers, it was coming in very low for it to work as a HMO. So they was like, nah, we're just not interested. So again, going through those no's.
What's a HMO?
HMO. So a HMO is a house of multiple occupations. So it's a shared house. So like, for example, you got like a 5-bedroom house, 6-bedroom house, and you got people living in there for a long period of time. So it's effectively a shared house, and then just roomlets, right?
So they are were these flats that you were trying to, where you were pitching HMO prices, and the developers just said the prices just didn't work.
Yes,
Okay.
that's it. Because we wanted to stick within the HMO model in that property. No, in the business, sorry. So we was like, okay, it's not working. Put this up to our mentor now that said about that got from 0 to 200, and he was like, you know what, that would work as service accommodation, right? So then it sparked the idea, right? It's like, well, Serena is doing service accommodation, we're doing HMO. All right, so if we work together, we can create something massive.
Definitely.
So then that's when, if you want to tell this part of it.
Yes,
right?
I was going to say, so this is where I'll pass it over to my bit. So I was obviously still managing these 2 properties at the time, as well as doing the duty manager work. I was able to then kind of leave the duty manager to start doing the properties full time and dedicate myself fully, just fully invest myself into that.
How long was that period from 0, I've got no idea about property, on this crash course, to I'm leaving my job and I'm not earning full time from property?
Wow, it was definitely 6 months probably. Oh no, sorry, not 6 months. My bad. It was probably, I'd say, a year and 3 months to be exact. Actually, a year and 3 months. That's what it was, because I started in 2020, and I kind of left the job at 2021. So just over a year.
But you went to the crash course in December, yeah?
That's right, in 2019.
So December, and then you just just at the start of 2021 that's when you left the job.
Yeah,
done.
the start of 2021.
Okay.
That's right.
So a year and 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
So
it.
from starting property, well, not starting, but from going and training until actually earning full time as a property, just over a year. Wow. Wow. Incredible.
That's it. So it was just kind of like, because I was still doing the duty manager full time, I didn't really like take it to that potential that I could have. And, so I was just kind of managing those. But this is where it got a little bit, it's not unfortunate, because in every sticky situation, there's an opportunity, right? So what happened was, during the second COVID, this is when my landlord said that one of them was selling the property and the other one needed it back because, just going through some family issues, which kind of left me in a situation where I didn't have anything, so I had to give them back. So, I was just kind of working again, just getting back into the swing of working. And, I kind of think it came to around August time. And that's when Troy had mentioned to me about the service accommodation company and actually bringing this into fruition. And I, something just told me I need to do this. Like, we'd had a conversation like for 30 minutes about this and, discussed about what the goal was, what the mission was, and how we could kind of scale it, and, what the steps I'd have to do myself as well. So I invested my company into the James Murphy as well, and what they taught us about like scaling up. So I was doing my research into it. And, towards the end of August, I believe, that's like, throughout August, and we was kind of, building. We was in the middle of building it
Putting
up.
the foundations down.
Why didn't you, when Troy called you, why didn't you tell him to get lost? Because at this point, you started one, you've had to hand it back, right? And then you started again. You've quit your job, right, to do this food, and then you lose those two, and then he's calling you saying, "Hey, this is like, mate, just get lost. I'm not doing this again." Why did you not tell him that?
Do you know what it was, right? It's because I'd seen, like, first thing, actually, I knew I wasn't done yet. I knew there was so much more that I had to give and so much more value that I knew I could bring. But it was like, how am I going to do this? And the funny thing was, I was thinking, how am I going to get back into property? Because I wanted to get back into property, and it was like, it was on my mind. I was hungry for it, and I was just like, how? And then, when Troy called me and he said it, I'd already seen how successful he'd built this business with the HMOs. And I was like, I'd be silly not to take this offer on. Like, family business, working together towards the same goals, having the same passion about it. And yeah, that's why I was like, no, I need to do this. This is my time to shine. This is
amazing.
Our time to shine.
And that was August of
2021.
Yeah,
so
2021.
August of
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
Okay. And then tell us what happened.
So we was doing like loads of brainstorming, wasn't we? We was doing meetings every single week, brainstorming around how we was going to bring this company together, what our kind of sole purpose is going to be around it, and our audience, the areas, the types of apartments we wanted. And that's where we kind of started really kind of laying down foundations. And then, we came up with a name. It's called Lux Stays. Then, because we looked on the company's house because we was going to get it set up, and then that name was taken. So it was like, oh my gosh, like, what are we going to do? We knew we wanted that name. We knew we wanted something revolved around luxury, because that was the only... We wanted to serve like high quality and high quality only. That's what we're about. We're about bringing value and proper value, so you can get high return on investments sort of value. So, being able to have a company that had that luxe definition in it, that was what was important. And, one day I don't even know what I was doing. I think I was just doing my work or something. And I was thinking, Lux Your Stays. Lux Your Stays. The more I kept saying it, I was like, it's starting to stick. So I remember I called Troy and I was like, I got an idea. Let's call it Lux Your Stays. And he was like, that sounds good, actually. And I was like, let's get it done. Get it in company's house. And then, we did. We just rolled with it. And that's where the company was built.
Amazing. That is absolutely incredible. Such a great story. And, so from that point to where you guys are now, like, what's been the result since then?
Yes.
Do you want to start?
Yeah, definitely. So effectively, we put the plan in place in terms of, okay, this is how many calls needs to get done, and then effectively we set out our different responsibilities, right? So we had like accounting, HR, operations, guest management, interiors. Like we had the org chart, and then we was like, okay, I'm taking care of these sections, and then my ex, she was taking care of those sections, and then Serena, she's taking care of these sections. So we were just all then just executing on the plan, right? Because there was certain things we had to do, for example, getting the company actually set up, also getting like branding sorted out, getting the website sorted out, all of those different things, and then effectively ran with that, and then Serena's job, it was actually to do the calling to the agents and like getting the deals like on like that. Also we was also, because I also had some developers as well that I had contacts with in Bristol. So again, this is still people that we're following up with, because as we already mentioned, right, there's been deals where I had to follow up for years to actually get a deal. So one of these ones are gonna pop through one day, but so from there, I think definitely the next bit that happened was about actually getting these deals on. So the first 6 that came in October. So if you want to sort of go into how you found those deals in October and like November, but essentially that was the next bit. It was like, okay, we got our different responsibilities. Now let's go forward with it, right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Lovely. So I suppose that brings it to this side of the story. So I was actually still working. I wasn't not working at this point. But do you know what? I actually made the commitment to fully stop working everywhere. I'd quit. I wasn't earning anything. I had literally invested my whole self into this business. So I was really passionate about making sure that it would work. I would list out exactly which agents I wanted to call. I was making 25 calls a day, over 100 calls a week. And, these calls must have started, I think end of September, and towards the end of October we secured the first 6 units, and that was in a office, commercial to residential, and it was like a new build type thing. They were lovely apartments, and I just I did my absolute best to make sure that we could get them, because I was essentially telling them the vision of where we wanted to take the company, and how, not just the vision of where we want to take the company, but how it was going to be beneficial for them. I said, imagine you have a block of units, but you have all these tenants. You could have one tenant taking care of 6 properties for you that you don't have to worry about. You can have reassurance from us anytime you need it. We're going to look after it for you. And that was my vision, was making sure that they could see the wins in it for them, and making sure that they could kind of see it from a different perspective of oh wow, this, we need them to kind of to come into our space sort of thing. So that's when I secured the first 6 in West Bromwich. I still continued to keep making those calls, because once I got those 6 in, I was I remember, we got the contracts, and I kept following up with them as well. Mind, follow up so important, guys, just remember that. I was following up with them, kept calling, and I must have called them again, and I said, what's going on? Have we got this deal sorted? Because I know you said that another company's already doing it, so what's your takes on us? Do you want to kind of move forward with it? And that's when they said, yeah, if you can come down today to sign the contracts, we'll get it sorted. So bearing in mind, I'm not actually from the area where we got them, was in West Bromwich. I was in Gloucester, and she told me, can you come down to the office in the next hour? I literally got up and was like, I'm coming now. So I literally went down there, got the contract signed. So that was the first 6 that we took on, and it was the journey's properly started now. Amazing
stuff. And then literally, from the conversation, you've then gone on a few weeks down the line, you've secured another 14 units.
Yep.
20 units, which is just incredible. And like I said, you guys have gone on in that very short period of time to this day. I've generated over £500,000. What an incredible duo. And honestly, like I said, I've been watching your journey from afar, and it's been such a pleasure seeing you guys grow. And I just know that there is nothing that's going to stop you. Your future literally has no limit, and I'm super excited to see exactly how that journey continues.
Yes.
Now, we have got a tradition on the podcast. Okay. So I've got one final question for you guys. Now, you've done amazing things, right, so far. I have no doubt there's more to come. But today now, what is your need to succeed?
Oh, you know what? The first thing that comes to me from this is I want to I want to really focus on paying back my mum, to be honest. So she's got this house renovation that she wants to get done, right? Effectively, I want to fund that for her and also help her with the process in terms of, actually planning the builders to come around, also just executing the project management of that as well, and not me just doing it, but also her like understanding it as well, because if she knows how to do it as well, like that is just such an amazing skill. But 100% taking the lead in that, and so that's one thing. And then also getting her out of her job as well, that's my needs right at this moment in time to like really push on, but overall, like the really big long-term goal is to really like inspire as many people to do the same thing as well. Like if they have a goal, like just all you really got to do is commit to it, be relentless with it, and just do not stop, even no matter how hard it gets, because trust me, it gets hard. It gets hard, right? If you want something, you will get tested, right? So literally it's to also inspire as well, and just add as much value as I can, to be honest. So, and yeah, create a big legacy to make my kids and my kids proud. And oh my days, listen, I'm so pumped, man. But yeah, that's it for me. Yeah.
So I think, listen to Troy on that. I was just like, wow, there's a lot, to be honest. That's a very good question to ask for the need to succeed. I just feel like, for me, the need to succeed, it's like there's so many like things out there that I want to do, like so many like big kind of help I want to make, and I can't do that without being able to kind of build this legacy and have this need to succeed, because I'm so religious, right? And I go to church. There's this church I go to, and there's so many big things they want to do, but it's having the capital to make that happen. I want to be able to actually help support communities, and to be able to do that, I need to make sure that I can build a legacy so that people know, okay, yeah, she can help us. But it's for me, it's just being able to actually show a true compassion and care and like humbleness, and like showing, right, if you can stay hungry, if you can stay committed, if you can stay persistent, then just know that those goals are going to be reached, and that need to succeed is going to happen. And I think that's it for me.
Amazing. Troy and Serena Badaloo, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having us on. I really appreciate it.
It's been amazing.